Hello, Maria. Are you there? Maria, are you there? Okay, so we have some people here. All right. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Can you hear me fine? I'm having to use my iPhone. I could not get the computer camera to hook up to Facebook. So we're going to do it an old-fashioned way with the iPhone. What we're going to do today is how to dip luster. And before we get started, let me tilt the camera a little bit, switch it around to me for just a second. Hey everybody. Anyway, we're going to get started. It's at 4 o'clock my time, so I'm going to get started and we're going to do how we dip luster. All right? We'll see you in just a minute. Let's have fun. I'm going to sit you back now where we can see. If you just came in, I'm having to do this the old-fashioned way on my cell phone. Okay. Now, what I've done is this is just a metal container I've had for a long time. And I dipped a little luster earlier this morning, but it dries around the outside edge. But I'm not changing the colors, so I don't have to change the bag. I like to start with warm water, or at least room temperature water. I don't want water that's cold because it makes the luster sink. So let me show you just a couple of the things that I did this morning. And this was one. And so what you get with the dipped luster is that you get all of these little variations in the background and a lot of different things that we can't do normally. And I like it when sometimes I'll come in and I'll wipe out some larger areas of white so I have areas to paint. Or you could leave it solid and not paint it, but I like to add things to it. Here's another one I did this morning. And this is actually a pendant, but you could actually make it an ornament as well. And this is just luster that is dispersed with dispersing fluid. So see, it's a different look. It's more solid than what you get when you dip. And this is one that I did, and in some of those vacant areas, you see I put a rose here. I had a little more room for roses on this side. So then it becomes more of the background that you see here. Here's another one. And here's the back. That's the front. If you like scenes, then leave a lot more white. And I'm going to move that water just a little bit. And then you see how I just imagined, and there was this big white area here, so I just made it feel like the water's coming down, and then I put a few rocks in the bottom. And then up here, it almost looks like mountains, and so you can kind of use your imagination when you get them out. Here's another one that I did for the demo with more light on it. But if you fire this and you decide, well, I don't know if I like that or not, you could add more color, or you can come in and we have a product called it's a rust remover here, and you could actually take luster off really easy in an area that you might want to put something. You want colors that are similar in values. Here's another one. And this one had these purple streaks that ran down, and I decided I wanted to stop them. So this is millefleur glass that I slumped ahead of time, and then I just glued it on. I did not refire it because I'd have to fire it hotter. And then this is just little Swarovski crystals that I put in the top of the sky. And here's what it looks like on the back. So if I wanted to, I could have painted something more back here. Here's another one. This one was dipped with pink luster and some blue luster, and then I put raised paste and gold on this. Am I going too fast with these? Do you want me to slow down? I tend to be a fast talker. So anyway, but here you can see where I put the raised paste on the top of this, and it goes good with the gold top. But you can really see how you get that speckled effect with the dipping of the luster. This is one my daughter and I had a lot of fun with. We really blinged this one up, and this is again the dipped luster. But you can find these little add-ons at a craft store, and they come in sheets like this, and it's real easy to peel those off, and then they'll just glue. It's a nice way to dress up a top. See, and then they'll just glue onto the top of this ornament top, or you could just lay it across the piece, and see, that makes a pretty ornament. Okay, so I'm going to show you several different techniques. Here's another one with the scene, and there was a big area here of a round circle, so I put it like it was a sun. On the other side, you can see how I've also just painted over some of the luster. But I'm going to show you how I do that in just a few. So now then, I think most people are here. And I'm going to put some drops of luster in this container. And what is very important, now I am going to talk slowly on this. What's very important is that you don't have too big of a container. This is just a little metal can that I had. And I just used a bag from the grocery store, and I lined it with that. The luster tends to gravitate to the outside edges. You can see it on the bag here. So also I found out that the higher gold-based paints, or lusters I should say, like rubies, they tend to drop to the bottom. So I decided, instead of using ruby in this, I'm going to use, this is a Josephine pink. I'm going to use some this is dark blue. And these lusters come from different vendors. Just use any luster you have. This is a light blue luster. And they all look the same. So my rule is you only open one at a time. And you put the lid right away back on that one you opened, so that you don't cross-contaminate your lusters. And another one I'm going to use is a rosy red luster. Now that one came from, this one came from, let me think, Wren. And it is, it's a really pretty red, and that's what you see. This is rosy red with a little bit of ruby. But the ruby I find is hard to do, and if they're thick, they'll sink right to the bottom. But also when you put them in, you want to take a toothpick and stir right away. So I'm going to get some toothpicks out here. I just get several out so that I should have done that ahead of time, so that I can just drop them in. Now I'm going to see if you can, I'm going to raise the camera up a little bit so you can see where that ruby has dropped to the bottom. Now you can, and I'm going to stand up to do this, you can just, you know, what I like to do is let it hit the toothpick. There it goes. And then stir. Can you see it in the top up there? Okay. Then I'll come in and add another color. Now, put the lid back on the luster. And set it aside on another area so that you know you've used that one. Now that was the dark blue. So now we're going to go with the rosy red. I got another toothpick, by the way, and stir it. See, it's staying on the top. What you don't want it to do is sink to the bottom. But see how it's wanting to gravitate to the outside edges, so I need to work quicker. I'm getting a different toothpick for each color. Come on out. Here it comes. That one's a little thick, see? So it wants to sink. So I'm going to stir. See all that color that you see at the top? Okay, so that's the colors. Now then, you can use an ornament hanger to do this. And of course I didn't bring my gloves, but that's okay. Let's just do this little star. Okay, so I've got a star ornament, and I like to do this on flats, but it also works on the rounds. I showed you that one that was on a three-dimensional, but I thought you might be able to see this easier. So you take the luster, you just dip it down. Now, if you don't like that look, go mining for some more. In other words, go look for more that's in there. And then move it around. But see how it likes to make stripes? I don't like it when it makes stripes, but it does sometimes. So lay the luster flat. The ornament flat. Now see, there's a large area that doesn't have anything, and that's okay. And see, sometimes I'll just do this because I might want to use that large area. So you can still manipulate this a little bit if you feel it's too heavy in a spot. Just to manipulate it a little bit. So that's what it looks like before I fire it. And if I found, though, if you go get one that's a big heavy spot, it most likely is just one color. You want me to do one more? Let me know if you want me to do another one for you. And it's the water that makes the spots. Okay. And sometimes you don't think there's a luster in an area, and it is. So with that, after I do that, I just prop it up against something to let it dry. And let's just set it against the little thing down here. Do you want to see another one? Okay. One more. Let's do a bigger one this time. So this size might be a little big for this. You might need a bigger container. So let's try this one. Sometimes they already have gold on them, and it works fine. If they already have gold, it doesn't hurt. But now we got to start again. We need to put the lusters again. So we're going to do the toothpicks again. This one. Whoop, I wasn't paying attention. We've got plenty of pink in this one. You want to stir it, though, so you don't get so many spots. Keep stirring. We just go with what we got, you know? Those things happen. Let's put a little turquoise. And let's pay attention. I was looking in the video instead of in what I was doing. This one's a little slow. This is why you hit the toothpick first. These are all little hints that I found. So this will probably be more than one because I've got so much luster in there. You could also do this with liquid bright gold. And with the liquid bright gold, I didn't do one like that, but with the liquid bright gold, I'm going to put just a couple of drops. There we go, of rosy red. So this one's going to be more pink than blue. So I'm going to come in now and stir this up again. I want to break up these really, see those spots? I'm trying to get rid of some of those spots and break them up. This is nothing new. I think other people have done this. But it's a fun project. Something we did years ago with my kids when they were in high school and in junior high. They would make these things and they would sell them. Ah, that looks cool. You like that one? So then if you want to get the other side, you just dip it. What I don't want is spots, but I do like it when it streaks like this. And if this is too much of a spot, break it up and dip again. There we go. Easy. Liquid bright gold, thank you. Liquid bright gold, when you use liquid bright gold, what happens with it, it will be purple in some places, and it'll be gold in some places, and it'll be blue in some places. And that's because you're using, the luster is being thinned, or the gold is being thinned, and, well, I've got all this luster in here. Before it all sinks to the bottom, I'm going to do some more. And, oops, remember to take your tag off, ladies. Oh, well. We're just going to take it off now. There are no mistakes in this, believe it or not, except leaving the tag on. I'm just going to leave that and let that burn off, and then that'll be just an area I can paint a rose in. So that's a paper label. If it was a gold label, I would have to have done something with it. Okay, so I've got 3 ornaments. And what I'll do is after this video, this little live thing, I will fire those and then post a photo of what they look like fired. Now, normally I wear gloves, but like I said, they're up in the kitchen and it's too far to go up. Now, if you want to do lusters like this, these are just blue and violet and turquoise and some pink. And then I just dispersed those with dispersing fluid. But that's not really what I was wanting to show you today, but I did want to share with you an inexpensive dispersing fluid. And let me move these. I'm going to move this out of the way. Again, if you just came in, I'm having to use my iPhone because the video camera would not hook up to my computer. So we're just going to set these to dry right here. And actually, I like it when it has water drops sitting on them. What happens is it'll make these spots. If you have a lot of water drops, let me find the one. Where is that one that has a ton? Oh, it's this one. This is where there were a ton of water drops. See all the water drops? That's where the water was that caused these. And sometimes you can get that same effects spritzing with some alcohol. All right. So now then, let's talk about what we're going to do once they're fired and what I do in that process. But also at the end, if I have time, I would like to show you maybe this a technique where how we just wipe out and finish off your backs. I like the backs more finished instead of just a plain back on my ornaments. And this looks so much better dressed up, don't you think? Everything looks better with pearls. Sometimes I use a stencil on the back that finishes them off. This is an amber luster that was dipped. It was just amber in the water. And then I did some pen work on this, but it really didn't show. So if I would go back and pen again with some gold. I'm going to show you what you don't want when you dip. You don't want it to look like this. That's not enough luster on this to even bother. Okay? So you want it to have, this is going to be beautiful. You want it to have depth. But some of the lusters that are lighter, you know, and this was like dipped again. So you can see how the depth of the color is going to be different because they were dipped again. Now these are almost dry. Now, I'm going to show you, let's see, let me show you how I do, this is very simple. I can just tell you what I did. This is a rose stencil, and I can show you that if you want to see it. Do you want me to show you how I did this? Okay, I'll just do it. So I'm going to get out a product called Underlay. I'm just going to use this tile to mix them up on. It won't take long to do. Okay, I'm going to do it where you can see it now. Put some underlay. Underlay is a colored matte paint is what it is, but it's colored with like a food coloring. It is really, it looks pink, but it fires white. Whoops. Sorry. Like I said, I'm having to use this. You're not supposed to turn. Okay, so now then I'm going to make a hole in this, and I'm going to see if I can zoom in. Yeah, it'll let me zoom in. Good. Move it where we can see it. Make a hole in the middle of that mixture. And then just fill it. This is a water-based medium. I used to buy this from Held of Harrogate. There's a lady in Holland now that sells it. But you also could use, I use my You Name It oil, which is an oil based. What's nice about the water based is if you use an oil based paint over it, you can paint right over that, and I'm going to show you that. Also, when you do stencils, they prefer a flat surface. So I'm going to do it, let's see where, I'm going to do it on the back of one of these with all the luster. And then the luster will be the background. Let's see which one I want to do it on. Maybe this one, because it's got more color. This is the back of it. So I find my stencils on the internet from different places. This one is a Tim Holtz design, or Jim Holtz. I think it's Tim Holtz, not Jim. Tim Holtz, and it's roses. And now I'm going to pull back. I'm going to go back. I don't want it so close. Come on. There we go. So now then, once you get that done, I use a sponge. And I find on the stencil where what I want to put on the back. So I just position it. I don't have to use the whole stencil. This will be a little harder to do on camera because usually I've got it laid a little flatter, but we'll see how it works. So then you just load that's too thick. I need a little bit more, and sometimes I don't add more of the water base. I just use some water. This is just plain water to thin it. You want it almost like thin ink. There we go. And you see how it's running off the knife? That's what you want. There we go. Now then, I'm going to load the sponge again. Now and then I do a little test on the tile itself, and that's working nicely. All right. So then you just, I'm going to see if I can move this over. I like to lay it flat. So let me come in again. Okay. Oops. All right, we're back. Sorry. I'm trying to zoom in so you can see it better. All right. Now, find where I had my pink. There we go. And I'm just going to pounce straight up and down, straight up and down, straight up and down. And I'm holding it with my other hand. Don't waste your product. Just put it where the stencil is. This one's nice because it has a large area that you can use to put your... The key is not to let the stencil move. It can bounce up and down, but not slide one way or the other. It's hard to see on that. Sorry, folks. But it has the little stencil on there. Maybe let's try it on this one that doesn't have anything on it. Maybe you can see it better. After it fired, you'll be able to see it, but so let's see if we have enough stuff left on our nothing like failing in front of company. And sometimes if I don't have enough leaves or something on one, what I'll do is it's hard to see even on the white, but can you see that? So that also say, okay, well, I don't have any color behind it. Well, you can go over it with China paint and it will color the roses too, but it'll make it look more like a brocade. But so that's how you do that with the stencil. It just finishes off the back, doesn't take a lot of time, and makes that ornament just a little bit more special. So that's that one. Let me clean up my mess here. And I'm going to let this dry a minute, and it's got a little bit of luster on that end. It fell into one of the others. Anyway, I'll clean that up before I fire. We'll let that dry, and hopefully by the end, I will show you. I'll just paint right over that, or you could blow dry it. If you wanted more leaves in, you could paint more leaves in. You could paint stems in to make it a little bit more pleasant to look at. Okay. Here we go. Now I've got my palette. As it dries, it's starting to show up more. Will I leave that on there? Probably not, because I really would think that would look better on a solid surface. But those stencils from Tim, he has, these are like, I guess you call them snowflakes. And then there's one with poinsettia. All right, so now then, let's paint a scene. I like to say, let's create a scene. All right. So also I fire the lusters between 016 and 018. It depends on, somebody that knows how to convert that into Celsius or the other way that we track what can't we fire to a kiln. Degrees would, you know, you could do 1400 degrees, but you could just, you know, what you normally would fire a luster to. All right. So now then, I'm going to paint you a scene, and I'm going to move my palette and everything over just a little bit so y'all can see this. Find one I did yesterday. And if you use your imagination, you can, you know, I can see trees in that already. Can you? You know, I can see trees. I could see trees coming from the bottom. I also could see maybe a waterfall coming down. On the other side is more interesting. This could be a pool of water. This could be, let me just point to it. This could be a pool of water, you see, and trees coming up through that. You could put some rocks in through here and some other things, but also you can paint over luster. But I'm also going to show you how to do something like this. It's just real simple. All right. I am so happy that I was able to test and find out that I could not get my camera to hook up on the computer. It's easier for me to do it on that. But actually, my video camera on my iPhone works really good. Okay. So, let's start. So the first thing I do is I draw with a pointer or a liner. I start with a green stem, and I'll put brown in later. But I start just with a straight line and planning where my fir trees are going to go. And for those of you who don't really have snow, we don't have it here often, but every once in a while, you could also make it any tree you want. It's up to you. And then I'm going to use a little square shader, just a brush square. And I'm going to start with the antique green. And to do one, it's real simple. You just crisscross. Now I want a little bit more green. This is just antique green. and just kind of crisscross across the. But the key to good evergreens is uneven edges and a skinny top. Now then I'll throw some black green in there, just here and there. Let's do another one. I like to do them in lots of times 2 and then a third one, 2s and 3s and uneven numbers. Now what happens to luster, when you paint over the top of it, it will go more matte. Maybe I want to put another something down in here. Just go right over. The paint goes a little matte sometimes over luster, but that's okay for this. And I'm going to wipe out some snow on these. So I decided not to put this tree in, but just put those 3 there. And maybe something in the background. You could do a little something back here, like there's trees way in the background. Now let's make that look like a pool of water. My fatter liner is what I'm looking for. Well, that one's not the fattest one. Here you are. Okay. So I've got rich brown on the brush, or any darker brown, and I'm going to come along the water line and just kind of zigzag along the water line of what I'm calling the water line. And making it look more like a pool of water. Now I am going to shade this a little bit to make it look better. So I'm going to go in with some flag blue, which is a mid-value blue, and a little cobalt blue, which is darker. See if I can find that where you can see it better. And come along. And don't put the blue everywhere, but just along the darker part of what might be the shoreline. See, and leaving a lot of that, the key is that you leave a lot of that luster showing. And come back, pull it back, soften it. Now then I'm going to pull down just a little bit, and I'm going to put a little bit of green just to kind of give me a little reflection over here. Now then I'm going to push down, push down, push, push, push. And now we're getting a little scene effect. Another thing that I do with fir trees is after they rest a minute, I'm going to come back and I'm going to use the wipeout tool to come in there and kind of zigzag them a little bit more. Make them even a little bit more uneven. And maybe I want, now this is a hill in the background with some trees way back up in there. So those are going to be a lot smaller. Then I want to pull out some off the camera, highlights. For the snow. I use the wipeout tool, and then I come back and I soften with the brush. I just wanted to show you something that was a little simple to do, something that's not really hard, and that you could do a quick thing. Maybe if you have a quick party you want to go to or something. And okay, that has still brown in it. Get that brown out of that. In art, what's the secret to the art is uneven edges, uneven edges, uneven edges. And now as I'm pulling back, some of that little blue luster is showing through right in here. And if that white is too up and down, come in there and change that. You also could come in later if you wanted and add a little spark of base for gold. And if I use the base for gold, I would spritz it on. You know, take a like a old toothbrush and dip it in the base for gold, and then just fleck it on. Now down here in this area, that big white area, I'm going to use some violet of iron and a little rich brown. Maybe there could be maybe another little green bush or something here. So you quickly can do a little, you can do a little landscape in these. And now see these big white spots that are in there? Maybe that's a rock. Maybe that's a rock in the water. Because you've got this brown in other places that are rocks. You can do that with the... Now I'm just going to wipe out some light in these rocks. Key with rocks is they are uneven, 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 uneven. And there you go, quick little scene, and didn't take long at all. Now, I want to just show you on one of these that did not have a lot of, it has a lot of white on it right here, this guy. I'm going to get a smaller brush again, and I'm going to go into some soft rose. I've got it enlarged on the screen here so you can see it. It's really a smaller rose than what you see here. So you can put a rose in, some leaves. I had a little pink in the brush when I was putting in this green. I like it when that happens. It helps to unify the two. Make them darker. And then I like to, what I call, let the paint rest a minute before I try to wipe it out. But see, I could come up here, add some miniature leaves, pull a little stem up into here. Make a little rosebud. A little stem down in here. I'm going to add a little brown in that so you can see it. Put a little color in the rose bud. And see, quickly, usually when I'm doing the roses, I choose though the lightest spot on the ornament because I don't want a lot of speckles in it. So I choose a spot that's got a lot of light usually. Wipe out a little negative space in there. And there you've got a little rose. You could add more. I maybe could put one up here, but I usually don't like to stack them. So I probably up in there would just, well, let's just do it. I'd add some leaves. Have a bigger space in there. And sometimes that's all it needs. You know, on the back, there's not much area back here to do. It's too speckled, so I wouldn't do it back there. I could maybe add a bud in there, but that's about it. So that's all the space I have in that one. Now then, maybe that is dry enough. By the way, this also was one of the stencils, and I stenciled it, fired it, and then I came back and put mother of pearl over it and fired it again. Let's see if that's dry enough. Not yet. Okay, if you'll hold on for a second, I'm going to blow dry it real quick. So excuse the blow dryer. I think that's going to take too long. You got the idea. So once you dry it, you can see it a little better now. Once you dry it, you can fire it and put mother of pearl over it, or you could put a color paint over it. Now we're going to do a little scene. That's just a scene, not on luster. So I start in the background, and I use a darker blue at the top of the sky. For those of you who don't know this, there is a rule about sky. It's always darker at the top and lighter at the bottom, unless it's a storm, and then you've got it darker at the bottom and lighter at the top. Now I'm going into blue-green. And I don't want it even, so I'm just kind of cross-hatching it on. Then I come back and smooth it out a little bit. All right. Now then I'm going to put some hills back there, and that is violet. I'm using violet, and I make violet by using a ruby and cobalt blue, half and half. But I'm adding a little bit of cobalt blue to this ruby so it's not so pink. And just come up and make interesting shapes. And this is where you do want a lot of different lights and darks in there, not solid. Let it have some texture back and bring it all the way to the edge of the, then come back, clean the brush, and wipe out. Can y'all see okay? Because I hate it when people can't, when I can't see. And when people, I hate it if they can't see what I'm doing. There's a lot of comments, and I thank you for the translators. But again, this is cobalt blue and a little bit of violet. Okay? All right, so but when you mix the cobalt blue and ruby, it's half and half, and that way you don't get it too pink. It just makes a nice, smooth violet. And I want one of these hills on front of the other, so I'm going to lift out a little bit more light and almost like they've got a little snow in them. Okay. Now, if it's too straight of a line, just come in and change it up. Now then, after I do that, I'm going to put in a stream. I like streams. So I'm going to put in that with some flag blue and some deep blue green on the brush. Whoops. I keep spinning the darn thing. Sorry. Okay, so now we're back again. I'm sorry if I made you dizzy. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of wiggle the brush back and forth. I want it uneven. I'm going to have to turn it sideways a minute. And I want it to go off to the side here. I don't want it to go right straight down at the bottom. So I'm going to make it go off to the side here. And I don't want ears, so I'm going to change that. It's all of these little things that make a difference. And I want it to diminish back here and make it a little skinnier so it gets bigger as it comes to the front. All right, so then I'm going to do some shadows in the snow. So I do all of that before so now I'm using a little bit of the blue-green and a little bit of a soft pink, just a little bit of the pink in that blue-green, a little bit more of the pink, just to give it a little bit of color. Now, those of you who maybe be from snow country, I may not know what I'm doing. But this is, we had a lot of snow in February here, more than we have ever had in my lifetime, and ice. And there was a lot of different reflections of things into that snow. Here, you just want it uneven, 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 uneven. Now, I'm going to come back, clean the brush, nothing in the brush, and wipe out a few lights. It's weird, my camera on my I have a high definition video camera for my computer, and it works fine on Zoom, but it did not want to hook up to Facebook. So we're doing it the old-fashioned way with the. Now then, I'm just letting that blend now, lightly blend in there, and that's where I can come in and make that a little bit more uneven with the land, with the shoreline, the rock line. Okay, so now then I've got just blue and purple and pink. That's all I've used on this little scene. And I'm going to come again with my nice, I like this scroller. It's nice and fat. It's a synthetic blend. Well, it's more not some blend. It's a synthetic, and it's much easier. It has a little bit more bounce to it than a natural bristle brush. And I'm going to come in now again and make some of these uneven edges along the waterline. And you see, I'm not connecting them all. I couldn't do a video without painting something, so just showing you how to dip luster wouldn't have taken long, so I decided I would do a little scene for you. And sometimes I will make more uneven there. Now then, I'm going to turn the thing upside down. And that's how I draw my trees, is upside down. Let's see if we can see this upside down on this. So if you turn something like this upside down, it's much easier to draw or paint a tree. Make the brush go sideways first and then pivot it up skinny. Sideways first, then pivot it up skinny and come all the way up into the sky, because that gives us perspective. It makes this look more 3D. And do lots of nice crossovers. Come down now instead of up. Nope, don't want that parallel, so I'm going to add something across it. And kind of wiggle the brush to give you some of these more interesting shapes. Now that went right across where that water line is, so I'm going to make this a little bigger, a little stronger right there. And see how much better it looks straight up? Now let's pull this one a little bit taller and make this come down a little fatter. So now then I can see the perspective a little better. I'm going to put a little bush here. And now then, it has to have a place to stop or end. And so that's when you wipe out a light where the snow would be coming over the trunks, the trunks of the trees. And you want that nice, you don't want brown in that. So you keep cleaning till you get no brown in that. Now come in and wipe out, highlight out of the tree. And on this little one down here, I'm just going to use some rich red. Which is a mid-value red. And I'm going to put some little berries. Just little berries on it. We have something here we call pyracantha, and it grows very well here, but it's got lots of these little red berries, and it just gives a little bit of color to the painting. Now then, I'm coming back to the blue, and I'm going to use the cobalt blue and flag blue again, and along the water line, this is where you want to be straight. You don't want it going zigging, zagging too far down. You want to just put a little bit of more value along the water line, And let's keep it straight. Make it darker at the edge. Sorry, that is my clock. It helps me keep on time. So you can see now, then pull the water, and you can make it darker back here on another fire because we've got all that wet. And maybe put, let's put, I use black green, antique green, and maybe way back here in the background we also could put some little, always start with a straight line, those little baby fir trees. Well, they're not babies, they're just way in the distance. Maybe a few going up the hill. This is just impression of them. And it adds another bit of dimension. Now, what I would like to do is stop right now, and I'm going to read your comments. And are there any questions? Any questions? So what I've done is here is a scene for you. This one, I put a bunch of color in the back, and I just spritzed it with alcohol, and it makes it look like trees way back here in the background. Here I have a little bit more of the ground showing in there, and a little bit more value change in the water. And then, and then I just put some berries back here on the back. I always finish my backs off. I feel like it just, because I don't know about you, but sometimes they flip around, and when I sell these, people are always flipping around the back to see what it has. So I always try to finish off the backs too. But I was going to show you that one like this. Okay. The first thing I did on this one was I added blue. I put a solid blue wash on the background of this, fired it, and then I came over it with cobalt blue. And I just took a clean brush, and you could even use a wipeout tool, and wipe out back to that blue underneath. Then I accented that scroll with this product called Ultra Gold from Held of Harrogate. Marcy sells it. I used to sell it. I don't anymore, but Marcy Blattenberger, she sells that Ultra Gold. And when I have it, I just use it for my classes that I'm doing. So what you do with that, I'm going to show you a little bit here. There's also, let me do this first. Oh, and I just stuck my sleeve in my rose I painted earlier. I don't know if it helped it or not. Oh well. All right. So let's do the back of this. Or let's do the front of this. It's easier for me to hold. So you also could do it this way, reverse. Put the darker blue first. Just a solid coverage. You could also do this with, I'm just doing it with paint from my palette, but you could do it with, mix the paint with the drying medium. You could use a water-based medium too. And then, I like Held of Harrogate's water-based medium because it dried. Not all water-based mediums dry well enough for me to be able to paint over the top. And this piece has a dimple in the middle. And now then, I'm going to use the other side of my sponge, a side that does not have water on it. And I will just pounce this. Let me pounce it. But because that other one had the lighter blue underneath it, when I put this blue on top of it, it had more contrast. Okay, that's good enough for government work, we used to say here. It's good enough. Now I'm going to just blend it a little bit. Blue is hard to blend. Okay, so then you can just take a wipeout tool. Create your scrolls. And where there's something I don't like a straight line here, okay, we'll just come here and we'll make another scroll there. Maybe another one here. And we work with what we've got. As a teacher, you learn how to fix mistakes. Some of your own, some a student makes. See, and I just free form scroll the design on. And I think I have reached my hour. We started at 4. Clock told me when it chimes that it is 4. It's 5 o'clock here. So you just keep doing that and fill the space. And I don't mind that little dark accent line that happens when it's done. And then I might put a little smaller line, and maybe a little hint about doing the cartouche is start your middle line in the middle first and then come out and do the other ones the opposite way. It makes it a little easier to do a nice little cartouche. So, any questions though? Really, that's why I'm here too. You can ask me a question and hopefully I can answer it for you. Oh, one other quick thing I didn't show you. This is the ending of this thing. Okay, so my granddaughter, she likes to come and she likes to help. And these are these little, actually these little jewels are they're stick-ons. And I found them at a hobby store here in Texas. Well, it actually was in Austin, Texas. And then at the top here, I just take a wire, make a little, and bead it. And then attach that to the ornament, and it makes a nice little accent for your painting or whatever, and it makes it look really sparkly and pretty on the tree. And then she came in and she made a little stem, and she made little flowers, on there. There's one more product I wanted to share with you, and I don't know if y'all can get this in Argentina or other places, but it is a product called from Krylon, which is a spray. And it's called Krylon Marblizer. And I don't know if some of y'all have used this before, but that's what you see. And this is not fired, it's just sprayed on. And that's what you see in the background here. Now, I have fired this. They make a silver, and the silver fires silver. And sometimes the gold will fire silver. But it just gives you a nice little accent to do those with. The flat ornaments that I'm using in this demonstration, the one I did the scene on here, that ornament comes from Rome America, Calvin Spurlin, Spurlin, and he is on Facebook, and you can contact and order those from him. Also, this big flat one that I did the stencil on, which is almost dry but still not. That one is also from Calvin, and he has this side that has a rim on it, and the back side is flat. And those make really nice big flat ornaments, and they fire nicely. Anyway, if you missed the first of it, this is another one. I think I got this one from him as well. It just makes a nice little it's a nice flat shape. That's what I like about them. All right, thank you, and I enjoyed having y'all, and thank y'all for watching. What does she say here? Got here late. Show the original ornament that you're doing the scene. Okay. The original ornament that I was doing with the scene. All right, where did you go? Oh, I had it turned over. This is one that I did a scene on. And then the other one is this one. Now this one, okay, on another fire, you see there it is, not fired. Here's another, this is 2 fires. I came in and added more blue. I wiped out a little bit more light on the top of the branches here. And then I just added more color into the mountains if I needed it, and a little bit more water into the water. And so, you know, that's kind of what I did here. Also, you could put a little more minor branches if you wanted this to even look more like it was in the distance. You could come all the way. Let me put the brown back in my brush. Got blue in it. You could come all the way across the water, you see, and make it feel like this is a big, and then if I did that, I'd make this a real big tree. And so then the tree is the focal point of that painting, not the water. And then come back and wipe out with the clean brush a little bit of snow on the... Did that answer your question? What is the maker of your... What is the material you use? What I was using was just a clean brush when I was doing the wipeouts, but I was using rich brown when I was doing the brown. Oh, you're welcome for the... I enjoyed it. But like I'm saying, if you still want to ask me a question or two, I'll be happy to answer it. Now, this is one that I did during the demonstration. If you came in late, and it's just rocks and some water and some reflections into the water. And what you're seeing in the blue is this is actually luster. And on the back is what it looked like, something like what it looked like before I started. And I could put another scene back here, or I could just write Merry Christmas in those little areas. You know, you just have to use your imagination once they're fired to see what you want to put in them. And those who came in late, this is something that I dipped the luster. I put it in water. I put the luster in a bucket. So I'm just going to do a quick review. I'm not going to do it again, but I'm just going to give you the steps. This was dipped, and I put different colors of luster. I used pink and turquoise and blue, and I put it in the water, and then I just took the ornament, it's sticky, and did this into the water and just let it happen. And so this is what you get, and this is going to be a really pretty one when it fires. And so it depends on how much luster you put in the water. And when you do it in water, let me see if I can lift this over here without messing everything up. Come back over here. See, that's what it looks like. So the water that is in there, and it's still got quite a bit of luster in there. I'm going to come back later. Well, heck, why don't I just show you right now, because some of y'all came in late. Take it, dip it. Now this one, because I haven't stirred it much, let me pull out. I think what's happening here is I've still got you focused. There we go. And see, because it's set, I'm going to get a lot of spotted. So this will not be nice. This right here. That won't be good. So if you don't like it, just wipe it back, take some of it off, blot it out. But that's going to be more spotted than the others. It's always better when it's fresh because you're going to get a lot of spots. So it's good to know too, you know, what's going to happen. But I'm going to go ahead and fire this. What the heck? And like I said earlier I'm going to post these after they're fired. And there's a lot of white area in here. The key is you don't want heavy spots, because the heavy spots fire really dark, like that one. But I'm going to fire that and let you see what it looks like. And it'll be on my page, on my personal page. And I also, if I'll send them to Maria, and if she wants to post them, she can. All right, any more questions? Okay. Well, I guess we will say goodbye. And hopefully we'll see you sometime down the painting road. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to show you this. Oh, what color did I use for pink roses? For the pink roses, I used a soft rose and a little bit of ruby. There's a color also, it's a lighter ruby. It's a color that is called, but this is soft rose and a little bit of ruby in those roses. In this background is a lot of red rose, which is a luster. That's what you see. That's what you see in here, is that red rose luster. But you see where all the spots are? Where all the spots are in here, that is where the water evaporated, and that's what makes the little spots. And where the water runs down, that's where you get the runs. And also this has a little bit of turquoise blue in that too. But I think it's cool. It's different. Thank you, Andrea. And like I said, I apologize. I had to do this on the iPhone, so that's why we're kind of moving around a little bit. But I think it did a good job as far as you can be able to see and be able to pull it towards you. And, you know, you can see it a little better. All right. I'm glad you had fun. I did too. It was a lot of fun. And I appreciate her doing this for us and doing all the translations. Maria is a fabulous promoter of our art, and I appreciate that. Oh, one more quick thing. This is luster that is not dipped. This is luster that is just put on blue. It's blue and turquoise. And then I used that delimonene luster to thin the luster. Let me show you what that looks like real quick. And I do really don't want to take up too much time. This is the name of it. So if you're on a phone, you could screenshot that. And this is made in California, in I think it's the Sacramento area. and you can find it on Amazon. But it is a food safe orange. It's an orange cleaner, but it's food safe. So it's not toxic. So I use that as a dispersing agent. I also use it as a cleaner. Another thing is, oh, this is real important. I use it to thin my luster. Like if my luster is really thick, if you just put a few drops of this in the luster, just a couple of drops at a time, it will thin it. It took some gold that I had that was hard as a rock. If you put your brush to it or you put a toothpick to it, it was like hitting cement. When I added that to it, it softened it up. It took a little while. I kept softening it and adding a little bit more, stirring, add a little bit more, and that was the most beautiful gold, and it wasn't something that I could have used before. Thank you, Maria. And thank you, Andrea. And I appreciate everyone. And hopefully that you can find that on Amazon, that delimonene, and it's safer. And I buy that big quantity and it lasts me a long time. You could probably go together with some friends and buy it and get a smaller amount. But I haven't had it go bad, so, it works for me. Again, thank you everyone, and thank you for watching. And again, if you have any questions, you can message me and I'll be happy to answer them. And you can see what we can do with these fun ornaments. They're just fun. They're just not, it's anything that's real hard to do. It just is, this one is one of my favorites. I left enough of that white in that one. And that's why if you get one that has a lot of white, like this, I keep saying goodbye, then I see somebody else come on. One that has a lot of white like this is perfect for doing something like this. See? So don't feel like you have to have the whole thing covered with luster. All right. Thank you, and you'll be able to watch this again, so I really appreciate it. Thank you, Maria. Okay, y'all take care and have a very Merry Christmas. Take care. Bye-bye. Don't go yet. I have to go yet. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to do this for you, and hopefully you can have fun and do some of these things too. And please, finish off the backs of your ornaments. Don't leave them plain. They're much prettier when they are finished. And if you missed something, you can see this again. I think Maria puts it on YouTube. Am I correct, Maria? So she'll have it up for a while so you can watch it. All right, take care. Merry Christmas, everybody. Goodbye.